know it feels more like a woman has curated this collection than it does a man. A man would not have curated, would not have put these things together this way, I don't think. I'm Marguerite Hoffman, and you're here with me in what we call B2. Robert and I, my late husband, and I felt like gallery was a little too precious, so we just give it a nickname. And it's a space that was designed by a local architect, Bill Buziotis, who unfortunately has passed away, but I think he gave us his best work here. It's a space that was created to show large pieces of art, well, any piece of art, but particularly large pieces, because our other space, B1, which is across the yard, is a very traditional, it's not a ranch house, but it's a very traditional kind of faux Georgian house that doesn't lend itself to big paintings. So we created this and opened it in 2003, and it's remarkable to think about how we got here, both as a couple, but also as individuals. So I grew up in Oklahoma, where you can imagine that there was an abundance of opportunity to see a lot of cutting edge art. But every summer I got shipped off to my grandparents in Washington, D.C., and my grandmother saw that I kind of liked going to the National Gallery and literally would take me there almost every day. I'd pack a little brown sack lunch, and I would go spend a couple of hours most days at the National Gallery, and it was very formative for me. It was a place that kind of anchored me in the old canon of Western art. And I also realized during that time, even though I was young, I realized that all these people whose names I kept seeing gave tremendous gifts of art. And that created this National Gallery of art. And so that was a seed that was planted a long, long time ago about this idea of giving collections to museums that have been created by individuals or assembled by individuals, and how rich and exciting and what access you could give to people like me by doing that. And then the next kind of big building block for me, I guess, was that I couldn't figure out what I wanted to be. So I floundered around and ended up taking this, well, back then it wasn't it was kind of an obvious thing. We all took a year backpacking somewhere, right, and lived on $15 a day. And because we had no money, we spent a lot of time in museums, churches, again, getting just drenched in this history of art. And while I was over there, I decided, well, I don't have any better ideas, so I'm gonna get a master's in art history. So it kind of just was a little bit of a stumble, putting one foot in front of the other, and I've been lucky to work in some aspect of art, whether it's with the Dallas Museum of Art. I'm the second person in the museum's history to both be a staffer and then go on to chair the board. And now I've landed through hook or crook and a bunch of ups and downs in this sweet, sweet, sweet spot of being able to support the arts and assemble a collection of art that feeds me every day. And I hope, I hope at the end of time, when this goes to the museum, that there are pieces that remain relevant and interesting, so that other people, when they come in the museum, like I did with my little sack lunch, will have access to this world of ideas. And we opened in this building in 2003, and I only remember that because I remember nothing else in terms of dates, because the Nasher Sculpture Center opened, and we wanted to be, everyone in town wanted to be Nasher ready, because we anticipated that, people would travel, it'd be a destination to see Ray's collection. And that was when Robert and I first kind of realized we had a collection, if you will. And he liked very blue chip down the line. I don't think he thought of him as down the line, but his favorites, Twombly, Ellsworth Kelly, Jasper Johns. And that's great, I did too. But after Robert died and I had a moment to reflect on the collection, there was just some real realities, like you can't continue to buy those folks unless you have really deep pockets. And secondly, I wanted to see what was happening after that. And then it just kept having a ripple effect. So you start exploring things you didn't even know were out there. I would hang it on a rubric of underrepresented women, and then it was underrepresented women in, Eastern Europe, and then Africa, and so that's one way the collection has gone. I think the other way is doing installations, single artist rooms. It changes the way you feel about the space. I think that there are differences between women collectors and men collectors. And, I had the best of both worlds. I had a very avid, curious, dynamic partner and loved every minute of collecting with him. Since I've been on my own, you find your own, I didn't realize so much on this path of self-discovery, but I have found that I'm much more interested in a wide variety of things. Earlier on, the collection, it just screamed paint. And Robert and I loved painting, and I still do love painting. And it's the medium that speaks most viscerally to me, probably. But now I'm not afraid to, buy a tapestry or buy a set of drawings that are collaged with felt, or, somebody teases me, it says that I'm drawn to everything that's stitched. Well, that must be kind of in our DNA as women, right? I mean, we don't darn our socks anymore like they used to in Little Women age, but I think that's somewhere in there, in a very cellular way. So I'm not surprised that I get drawn to that. I guess it's don't be afraid, whatever it is, if it speaks to you, go for it. And so that's kind of me as a collector.